trial that took place 2007, 2008 in Dallas, Texas. And of course, NAID is the financial subsidiary of the Islamic Society of North America, ISNA. And who heads that Islamic Society of North America? A radical Islam from Sudan who went to the White House as frequently as he wanted. And his name is Magid. It's a fake name. He has a different name in Sudan. He comes from Sudan. The father is the highest Muslim priest, or whatever they call him, a religious official, a dear friend of Barack Obama. And this Muhammad Magid, as I explained in that book, he went to Barack Obama the day before. He went to the State Department and helped Obama write his speech. And what did Obama tell the State Department? That for the very first time, a president of the United States said Israel has to go back to the pre-1967 boundaries. No U.S. president had ever said that, not one. And of course, that means that if Israel complies with what Barack Obama requested, they will give half of Israel to Jordan. They will give the Golan Heights to Syria, and so forth. So this NAID owns 325 mosques in 42 U.S. states. And all of them are controlled by the Muslim Brotherhood. Because the Muslim Brotherhood controls this mosque, they make sure that they hire radical imams, many of them born outside the United States, like this one was born in Egypt. They bring people from Palestine, they're from Gaza, they bring people from different places. And of course, this imam is here on a permanent residency, as a green card. And of course, then the Muslim Brotherhood, who owns this mosque, through NAID, has the ultimate authority over what they teach and what activities they conduct. And they specifically want to make sure that they promote Sharia law and the Wahhabi religion of Saudi Arabia, who happens to be the worst religion of all the ones that, the different sects that they have. In Islam, this is the very worst. I think I told you the story, but I'll repeat it because it's worth understanding Saudi Arabia. When the King Abdullah, who died at the age of 92, 91, when he was crowned Prince of Saudi Arabia, he had a favorite granddaughter, and she was found in bed with somebody other than her husband. She was sentenced to death, and in the royal palace in Riyadh, the crown prince had to witness his favorite granddaughter being stoned to death before his eyes. And if that doesn't describe Saudi Arabia and that religion, I don't even know what best I can describe it. If a woman is raped in Saudi Arabia, even though it's not her fault, the family puts her in a room, they lock the door, and they don't give her water or food until that innocent victim dies. That is Saudi Arabia. And the royal family of Saudi Arabia, as I also explained in that book, 632 pages, and Iran were the ones that attacked the United States on 9/11. The entire royal family of Saudi Arabia are murderers. And they attacked our nation and killed 3,000 of our citizens. And George W. Bush and Barack Obama, and so far Trump, has not complained about it, which is very sad for those families. Because Saudi Arabia needs to be fined in the billions of dollars in reparations for those victims that they were responsible for. Yes, ma'am.
What proof?
What proof?
What proof that the family was involved?
It's all in my book, in several chapters. Several chapters. But to answer your question very shortly, the Prince Bandar, nephew of the king, married to a royal princess of Saudi Arabia, gave $130,000 to 3 terrorists that attacked us on 9/11 that entered in Los Angeles. They were met by security officers from Saudi Arabia and by the consular officials in Los Angeles. They were taken to San Diego to a Saudi Arabia mosque, and guess who was the imam of that Saudi Arabia mosque in San Diego? Anwar al-Awlaki, who later we killed in Yemen. All right? Then Saudi Arabia brings Anwar al-Awlaki, those 3 terrorists, one of which went to take lessons in Arizona, refreshing lessons because they already had been trained before, and then they brought him to the mosque Saudi Arabia Mosque, which is in our capital in DC, just a few blocks away from the embassy of Saudi Arabia, and there, other terrorists met there as well. So that's what Saudi Arabia did. That's just briefly, because I have all the detailed information. Of course, I have several chapters discussing that in that book. But that's just to quickly to bring what happened there. And by the way, the 9/11 Commission wrote a book this big, and 28 pages where they talk about this were deleted. By orders of who? President Bush. And they kept deleted by Barack Obama, and who knows what Trump is going to do. But I do hope that Trump allows justice to go. And one of our senators who headed the 9/11 Commission, Senator and Governor of Florida, Bob Graham, had been complaining about it from day one. And he finally got tired of waiting when Obama was president, and he just went public. Said, this is what happened. And he has said it again and again and again. And that's what I have in that book too. Because I have all these things that, and not only him, but all the people that serve on that committee have also gone public, not just Bob Graham, and said, we need to bring, and there was a bill in Congress to hold Saudi Arabia responsible for anybody that attacks the United States. And of course, Saudi Arabia is trying to block that bill and threatening that if we allow that bill to go through, then they're going to retaliate with us. They're going to sell all the things that they own in the United States to make our dollar disappear or hurt the value of our dollar. They threaten the United States doing all kinds of stuff like that. So that's not a good country. Neither is Iran. But interesting enough, all those terrorists that eventually came to the United States and brought down the attackers on 9/11, they crossed from Afghanistan into Iran. Iran trained them there to fly jets into buildings, and they called that operation, in Farsi of course, Great Satan on Fire. So these people were trained first in Iran, and here's Iran and Saudi Arabia, they hate each other. One is, Saudi Arabia is Sunni, the other ones are Shiites, and yet, to attack the United States, they become allies. Interesting how the Middle East functions. Anyway, so going back to, there is a bill in Congress which was filed by Senator Cruz and Representative Mario Diaz-Balart from Miami, and that bill is to designate the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist act, and that bill has not moved because House Speaker Paul Ryan has not allowed it to be moved. Very interesting how he feels about the Muslim Brotherhood. And of course, there are members of the Trump administration, several members of the Trump administration, including the president during the campaign, they have said that they are in favor of declaring the Muslim Brotherhood a terror organization, but so far it hasn't happened. And of course, one high-level Trump official that got fired, Mike Flynn, he was also in favor of banning the Muslim Brotherhood. Trump's Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, when he went for the confirmation hearings at the Senate, he said that the Muslim Brotherhood is, quote, an agent of radical Islam, end of quote. Former Ambassador John Bolton, which I hope that he gets a job in the State Department or anywhere else, told Breitbart News last month that the United States should declare the Brotherhood a terrorist organization, and this is what he said. I'm quoting exactly what he said. The fact is that the Brotherhood is a front for terrorism. A number of Arab majority Muslim countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates have already designated as a terrorist organization, and so have Russia, by the way, and Syria. And then this is what he continues saying. I've had Muslim leaders from the Middle East say to me, are you people blind to what's going on right in front of your eyes about the role that Muslim Brotherhood reform? Really, on an international basis. So, that ban now includes Iran, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Sudan, and Somalia. Somalia is a failed state. It has no central government. Sudan is a completely controlled, the whole nation is Muslim Brotherhood. Yemen has a civil war going on. You know what's going on in Syria, and you know what goes on in Libya. It's another failed state. There's no central government. They're fighting, it's full of Al-Qaeda, different militias. So how can we allow people from those countries to enter the United States? It's a matter of national security. So we got the Democratic Party, we got Obama's judges trying to block this in cahoots with the Muslim Brotherhood. And if there is an act of terror, because some people enter the country right now, before we can take that to the Supreme Court and reverse it, the Democratic Party and the federal judges are going to have a lot of blood on their hands. Hopefully that won't happen, but if it does happen, we will know who to blame. All Trump is asking is 90 days moratorium from visas, so we can make sure whoever enters the United States can be properly vetted. And in these countries, particularly the ones that have no central government, how can you do that? There's no central control. Everybody's name sounds the same. They're all called Mohammed, they're called Ababakur. All the names get repeated, so the same person, maybe 25 people have the same name, or maybe 2,500 in a given city. So anyway, that's what has happened. Now, fortunately for Donald Trump, a judge in Virginia, you probably read it, a couple of days ago, ruled in favor of Donald Trump. Of course, this was a George W. Bush appointed judge. It wasn't a Varona judge. But who filed the lawsuit? A woman, I can't think of her name, Samuel, something like that is her name. She was one of the leaders of the March of Women in Washington. You probably saw her with a veil. She's a radical. And who represented her? Cair, the Council of American Relations, another Muslim Brotherhood front and one of the strongest. So that's what with her, the lawyers from Cair, this woman, but thank God that Judge in Virginia ruled against that. But this is going to end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully if we have Judge Gorsuch there, he'll, first of all, it's such a hypocrisy because President Obama, for 6 months, he banned entry to the United States from anyone from Iraq. For 6 months he did that, not 90 days, 6 months. President Carter, when the mullahs in Baghdad took our embassy employees, he kicked out every single Iranian that was in the United States, deported them back, including students who had student visas, and were in the middle of the semester studying at various universities, he kicked them all out. Did the Democratic Party complain? No. Did any federal judge complain? Did ACLU, did they complain? No, because these were, of course, Democratic presidents. All right, I want to mention now an article that was written by Daniel Greenfield, who is a journalist from the Freedom Center, another excellent journalist, and he just wrote an article in March the 7th called Obama Gate. Look at that number, Watergate, Obama Gate. Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of Obama? Call it Obama Gate and all the spying he's been doing to Trump. Okay, Obama Gate exposing the Obama deep state. That's the title of the article. And this was published in frontpagemagazine.com. And what he said in his article, I'm going to be talking about his article, almost the entire article, so if you forgive me, because it's very important what he says in the article. He says that as soon as Donald Trump obtained the GOP nomination, when they knew by earlier that he was a candidate. When he defeated Ted Cruz in Indiana, it was obvious that he was a candidate. From that very moment, the Obama administration targeted Trump for destruction. And as the candidate was on the verge of winning, when it was obvious in October that things were changing, of course, they also continued to destroy it. Now, Obama went twice to something called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. They call it FISA for short. This is a court that's been in existence in 1978. They have 11 federal judges that serve on that court. And they, if the government wants to spy upon you, they have to go to this court and obtain a warrant. Well, that's false, because they spy upon you with or without the court. But that's what the law says. So Obama went to this court in June of 2016. It was turned down. I went again in October, and it was then approved. So in October, of course, is the day, the month before the election, when you have all those October surprises, right? That the last moment, all the women that supposedly Trump touched inappropriately, including one 35 years ago on a plane that lied about it, that he said, just wait me and grab me. In those days, the planes had a fixed seat, so you couldn't Anyway, all the things that happened towards the end to try to get the people to vote against Donald Trump. Anyway, we just had some hearings on Monday, March the 20th, with the House of Representatives Permanent Select Committee. Devin Nunes is a patriot, and he's the California Republican, who is the chairman of that committee. And so this committee now, we had the FBI director, James Comey, and we had the National Security Director, Admiral Mike Rogers, who testified in this committee. It was published in every single newspaper what they said, in all of the channels of television in the United States, that they, meaning the FBI, National Security Agency, had no information that supports the president's claim that Barack Obama war-starved him during the campaign. They basically called the president a liar, and these two individuals report to the president, and they call him a liar. But I think it was a great mistake for President Trump not to fire Comey on the first day. Terrible mistake. Terrible mistake. He should have been fired long ago, because he should have indicted Hillary Clinton for all the crimes that she committed. And he didn't do that. So of course he couldn't do it because the Attorney General of the United States, Loretta Lynch, was part of the conspiracy to tolerate all the crimes of Hillary Clinton. She even met, as you know, she even met with Bill Clinton at a tarmac in an airport, which is totally collusion. Because anything that they do is okay with the complicit press. Anyway, so this is what they said, that Trump is a liar. And then, of course, it's very interesting that he also said that 8 months ago, in July of 2016, the FBI has been investigating the Trump campaign for possibly collusion with Vladimir Putin and Russia. Now you tell me, how are you going to investigate during 8 months and don't do surveillance? Of course you have to do surveillance. There's no other way to investigate people. So it's a contradictory. We investigated Donald Trump, but no, he wasn't spied upon. No, he wasn't surveilled. Of course he had to be surveilled. How else are you going to investigate? And they're looking at 3 individuals that the 3 of them have said, we want to testify before the Permanent Select Committee of the House. That's Paul Manafort, who about 5 months. He was campaign director of the Trump campaign. He got fired, replaced by Steve Bannon. Roger Stone, who also got fired for the Trump campaign, and Carter Page, who was an advisor on Russia, and he too was fired. But these 3 individuals are their names are being published by the Democrats as possibly 3 individuals that were doing something illegally with Russia. Now this is very interesting because the Obama Director of Intelligence Services said in public that there's no evidence of any collusion. And he's the head of 17 intelligence agencies who said that. So it's interesting that the boss of the FBI and the boss of the NSA said that nothing happened, and yet these 2 individuals go before Congress and lie about it. But something worse has happened. Nunes, after that Monday hearing, a whistleblower came to him with documents that show that the Trump campaign were, quote, incidentally monitored by the intelligence agency. And then he had a press conference, and then he went to the White House and met Donald Trump. Because he did that, and he did not go to the committee first, afterwards he went to the committee on the same day, but not in that order. No, he had the press conference, the White House visit, and then he went to the committee. Now everybody's an uproar, all the complicit press. Even John McCain, who is becoming more and more a traitor, he said, Congress has no credibility. We need to create a special prosecutor to handle this. You know, a special prosecutor sounds like impeachment, right? And the Republicans in Congress are opposed to that, but not McCain, who obviously has a profound hatred for Donald Trump. Anyway, this is what Nunes said at the press conference. He said this: first, I recently confirmed that on numerous occasions the intelligence community incidentally collected information about U.S. citizens involved in the Trump transition team. Details about U.S. persons associated with the incoming administration with little or no apparent intelligence value were widely disseminated in the 17 agencies. We didn't say that, I'm saying that. In other words, the information that they got, they spread it everywhere, so there will be many, many leaks going to the press. Third, I have confirmed that additional names of Trump transition team members were unmasked. Unmasking a person carries 10 years in prison or leaks of classified information. We're talking about crimes that have been committed. You cannot unmask people or reveal the names of Americans who have incidentally been discovered to be speaking with a foreign leader that our agency were spying upon. They're not supposed to reveal that name. Fourth and finally, I want to be clear, none of this surveillance was related to Russia. None, he said. So evidently they just wanted to spy what Trump was going to do once he got in the White House. For whom? For Barack Obama. All right, Congressman Nunes stated that the information was collected November, December, and January, the transition period after the election. He said he has seen dozens of reports involving Donald Trump and his team that were brought to his attention by a concerned but unidentified party. That's a whistleblower from one of these agencies, intelligence agencies. According to Congressman Nunes, information was collected as part of the normal foreign surveillance and not related to any criminal investigation, but he said repeatedly, again and again, that has nothing to do with the alleged crime committed by Donald Trump people and Russia. Then after he went to the White House, he also spoke to reporters there, and then he said the following. He said, perhaps it was legal, but it was not right. Perhaps it was legal. I don't think it was legal, but that's what he said. And of course, what did Donald Trump said? I am partially, somewhat vindicated, that's what he said, with this information that he received. Because he all along has been saying that he's being spied upon. And he's been absolutely right, he has. As all of us have been. Myself included. I spent a lot of time telling all the spying that I've been subjected upon. I just mentioned one incident of the many that I had. I was doing an article for one of my books, and I was writing in my Word, my own computer, at home. I'm not in the internet, I'm in my own computer, in Word, and I'm describing how one spy ship in the United States, the US Impeccable, was attacked by 10 Chinese ships who proceeded to destroy the antennas of our ship, which is an act of war. And the spy, who was reading everything that I was writing, as I normally do when I write anything, wanted to let me know that I was being spied upon and wanted to help me have a better article. So he, out of the clouds, entered into my article, an article that was written 3 months before of another ship, the USS Cowpens. Is a cruise missile who was spying on the aircraft carrier of China, the Lion in international waters in the South China Sea. So the spy, he probably was told I was a terrorist or whatever. Spy on this Cuban, he's a terrorist, going to maybe assassinate Obama, whatever. And when he began reading what I was reading on China, he realized that I wasn't a spy, because I was talking about how China is trying to destroy the United States, all the things that Chinese are doing. So he decided to let me know that I was being spied upon, and number 2, let me help you do a better article. So what he sent me, I incorporated into my article, thanks to that spy. I wish that spy had gone to Congress as a whistleblower and said, look, I'm being paid to spy on American citizens. And what is my crime? My crime is that I've written 6 books against Obama and 400 articles. I speak at national conferences, I speak at tea parties, everywhere, anywhere that everybody allows me to speak. I'm speaking and denouncing what this traitor to our nation, Barack Obama, and the other traitor, Hillary Clinton, have done to our nation. That is my crime. That's why I'm being spied upon. How many times I would send an article to be published by Bear Witness, and the article said, Obama's violation of the Constitution, or something like that. And then Yahoo would not allow me to send it from my friend Varona at yahoo.com. And then I had that blue beach ball would stay there 24 hours and my article would not move. Then I would come, erase that title and say hello, and my article, bam, went like that. They had to call Rolando. Rolando, my article is this, but it says hello. And then it will be published. I have said that, and people, other writers said it happens the same to me. They have done it to me as well. So this has been going on all along when President Obama was in power. In fact, I think I have 15 pages in the 632 book, which I call that part of the book, Are We Losing Our Freedom of Speech and Freedom of the Press? What else did he do when he was president? Illegally, they spy on 100 journalists in the Associated Press who tend to write very favorable articles about Obama. They spy them on 3 months in 3 cities in the United States, illegally. So the Associated Press had to denounce the Justice Department for illegal spying. What else have they done? Well, they tried to put in jail James Rosen, an investigative reporter from Fox News. They were spying on him all the time. And Sherry Atkinson, an award-winning reporter from CBS, who wrote a book called Stonewall, which I have at home. They were spying on her 2 computers at home, her 2 computers at CBS News, her Verizon line was tapped, all of this illegally. She wrote the book, and she has filed a $35 million lawsuit against the Justice Department, which I hope she collects every penny. So, this is the United States today. We are 1984, Big Brother society. We live in fact, when you live here today, and as you're driving home, you're being picked up on cameras everywhere, and those cameras are connected to the National Security Agency. And now they're working on technology through your eyes that once they perfect that technology, then they'll know when you enter Macy's, because that's your eyes, and they know that Frank de Varona just entered Macy's. And if they want to kill you, for some reason, they can send a little fly like this, which is a drone, this big, boom, I know, you die of a heart attack. So this is the work. Technology can help us, and technology can enslave us. And the bad people like Obama and others are using the technology to enslave us and to destroy Donald Trump. All right, I'm going to mention something very important too. This appeared in the Washington Post, March 24th. That was yesterday. Peter Hofstra was a Michigan Republican who used to be the former chairman of the House of Representatives Permanent Intelligence Select Committee. And he wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal. I have to criticize the journal in a second too. And then, but they did publish this article, and this article's title was, Did Obama Abuse Raw Intelligence? Raw intelligence cannot be shared with anyone, according to the law, and it was widely shared with the White House and a lot of other people. Anyway, so he said that it was positively astonishing and remarkable that Congressman, when Devin Nunes revealed on March 22nd that Donald Trump campaign officials were caught inadvertently in collection of intelligence. He said, we don't know all the details, but it could include conversations between Trump transition staff and foreign officials whose conversations were subjected to intelligence monitoring. And then this is what he said, I'm quoting him now, open quote. Things begin to get a little frightening when we learn that this inadvertent collection of Trump staff conversation was followed up with transcripts of those conversations and disclosure or unmasking, which is against the law, of persons involved in the conversation. These transcripts would be considered raw intelligence reports. Raw transcripts of masked persons or unmasked persons who can be easily identified making their way to the White House is very likely unprecedented. One can only imagine who at this point might be reading these reports. Valerie Jarrett, Susan Rice, Ben Rhodes, the president himself. We don't know, but these people are not talking. You know what Nunes needs to do? He needs to subpoena Obama, he needs to subpoena all these people on the roads and asking, what did you know? What did you order this? When did you receive it? What did you read it? Because we are talking about a potential Watergate for Obama.